This Tavim Yerushalmi Eruvin, the article Ozvar edition, where Mamash at top of Samachem and Alf, Halacha Gimel, Akar B'Sefer, which in the Vilna is on Daf Samach Amar Aleph, Samach versus Samach, and that is also Halacha Gimel, Akar B'Sefer Askepa. Somebody who's reading a sefer on the threshold. So we have in the Parish Chai, we have some nice pictures here. There's a sefer on the Askepa. Over here, the threshold, sizable thresholds, not a simple one, right? So it's the skupa, it says here, and the sefer roll down the for golo etzel. You can roll it up back to where he's sitting on the top. What kind of a skupa it is, we're going to talk about when we get to the Gemara. Okay, now there's numerous scenarios here. He's at the top of the roof. So obviously the Gemara has them as two different scenarios. Let's see what I'm showing you. It must be that the Gag and the Scoop are different characters here in terms of Rishuyos. Okay, so it's the top of the roof. He's Gag the same Yada, and the Sefer rolled out of his hand. Actually, if it's obviously it's clearly Rishus Yachid. If it's less than 10 tefachim more than 10 tefachim from the ground, right? Still more than 10 tefachim from the ground. That's that one over here. So then go ahead. So you can roll back to you. Sarah, if we go reach 10 tefachim over the ground, that's this case over here. Next case, Hovcho outside. We turn upside down, so you can't bring it back because it's within 10 tefachim of the ground, and the ground is Rishus Harabim, and you're in Rishus Yachid. So therefore, you just turn it on its inside out, so the ksav is not facing it outwards, so it's not bizayin, and you leave it to have the Shabbos. So there's no halacha, even by a hairbreadth. It's the hairbreadth off the ground. So then the goluetz, though you can wind it back to you because it wasn't nach in Rishus Harabim. If Shem I feel about it, mo. The Shem says even it's on the ground itself. This is since you're still holding on to it. It's not really even it's on the ground itself like this. Find a picture over here. Nevertheless, go out so you can roll back to you. There's nothing which is the Rabbanan like this. The which is because. As the Kopnei Moshe says, however, Ugda biyado, since you're still holding on to it partially, so therefore it's not, even though it's munach, it's not considered fully munach on the ground. So therefore, nothing which is only the Rabbanan, so it's not truly munach midaraisa on the ground. It stands before the saving something of Kisvei HaKodesh from a bizayon. So the main Moshe points out that he says that okay, so says the Gemara. Very everybody has very different pshatim in this first line of the Gemara. Very cryptic first line. So the Gemara says scuba muteris. Sounds like he's allowed to write in the scuba. He's allowed to read on the scuba. Right? But outside scuba it's usher. So how could that be? The scuba, since it's not the case of the Gag, it's got to be a carmelis. The scuba itself is a carmelis. And if the scuba is a carmelis, so how do you get there in the first place? On the contrary, and it's bitmiya. The scuba is okay. Outside scuba it's usher. Outside scuba it's just a yochid. Back in the house, right? And the skupa, it should be usher. How do you get there? It's strange, right? Again, because if his case was that the skupa was also shusay yachid, so then it's no different in the case of Gag. When answers to Potter, should be korban mibod yom. And Shabbos wouldn't be allowed to take their safe out to the skupa. You were sitting there before Shabbos began. You got out to the karmas before Shabbos began. And or it says Bob, but very often Yerushalmi Bob is like, oh, Shalach you. You forgot. You took it out to Skupa, even though Skupa is a caramelist, and now you reading on it and it rolled out of your hand. There are the other interpretations of Gemara, not as a question and answer, but it's two separate statements. One statement says that Askupa Muteris Avchutz Askupa Aser, that we're talking about the Skupas and Mokum Ptur, and therefore you're to take it out to there. Outside the Skupa is a place which is Aser. Outside Skupa is just a Rabbim. And then the part would be a separate statement that our Mishnah said about where the Mishnah be that talk about no, even I'm welcome to it, right? And it's going to be talking about where you got there. Somebody you got to be bud yoim. But even I think that the question answer was from the Yerushalmi Kipshuto works out the best. So the signal of the Gemara. So and it's bitmiya again. Biskupa uteres skupa oser. It sounds like skupa is better. On the contrary, how'd you get to the skupa in the first place? It's skupa is karmelis. It's about to show yeshiv korban madiyam or v'shar avotzia. Okay, actually, look at start tvachim golu etzlo. We should get start tvachim also. Once it reaches 10 tvachim on the ground, it's aser. You can't roll back. Rabbi Yaakov. It's going to Rabbi Yehuda, who says that even though it's didn't reach the ground, but since it's within 10 fachim of the ground, it was just a rabbim, so then you already can't bring it back to you. There's a long Reb Chaim here, which we asked basically why. It's an kind of obscure sheet of Rabbi Yehuda and Bryce in the Gemara, who said that Zarab Dal Amshis Chayev. You from Shusar to Rabbi and went to Shusar Dawud Amos, and Chayev me when I got to Shusar Rabbi because of Hotzah, and then you Chayev is again because of Rabbi Dawud Amos. Why didn't you say Rabbi Akiva? Rabbi Akiva says Klut Kamishun even Shusar Rabbi, which is much more simple, right? So he says go ahead Cheshman, which basically what's about to come. We're going to ask in a few moments. It seems to contradict himself. Our Mishnah says even as long as the hairbreadth of the ground, it's okay. What do you mean? He says once it reaches 10 fachim, it should be a problem. But really, Rabbi Akiva is the more famous shita that we say kludakum mishoncha even with shus harabim. Okay, mishkil asar tvachim hofchal aksav. Once it gets in 10 fachim on the ground, you turn it upside down. Lama, why? Shalo yizbaz aksav. The ksav should be degraded by facing outwards for the rest of Shabbos. Ask the Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbi Shmuel ben Nachman says, Shefish ela mappa. If you have a sefer which does not have a mantle, you can't cover it with anything. So hofchal ksav, you turn it upside down. Shalo yizbaz ksav, so that the ksav should not be degraded. Normally, you're not supposed to put a sefer upside down, right? It's like people do in order to hold the place. But you're not supposed to do that. But here you have no choice. So therefore, that's the better of the two alternatives. Well, that seems contrary. We said before, we just quoted him above as saying, now let's use 10 within 10 foot of the ground, just surround me. The car Marachain here says, as long as the hairbreadth off the ground, so okay. So Rabbi Yochanan said, "You're right. Lace can Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Meir. You can't. Our Mishnah is not Rabbi Yehuda. You have to amend the Mishnah. It's Rabbi Meir. And Rabbi Meir holds you don't say Kluta Kamei Yishun Chabir Shus Rabbi. That's why even if it's a hairbreadth off the ground, you can roll it back. Okay, Rabbi, and so when the Pnei Moshe said in the Mishnah, it looks like Yehuda. Now is what it really means. According to this, how long is like Rabbi Meir? I think. The Pnei Moshe in the Mishnah brought down. There's a whole discussion, the Bavli, about the Kosa Meshupa, not Meshupa. Obviously, Yerushalmi doesn't. Whether it's talking about whether it's a wall, which is an angle, not an angle. Obviously, Yerushalmi does not get into that. Yerushalmi doesn't take that into account. And the next part of the Yerushalmi is a new statement. Divrei Chachamim, as Komenei says, Rabbanan Bnei Yeshiva Amru. The following statement: Rabbi Yossi Amar B'Shem Rabbi Yochanan. Lo so davar sefer. It's not just a sefer, right? I feel psukaya. So the way the Kohen says, "Lav davar sefer shalom go etzlo." I feel psukim shalom to be other go etzlo. Even if it's just psukim, not a whole sefer Torah. It's not just sefer Torah, which is bizarre, but even a psukim that The peculiar Shas is very differently. Shas says, "Ein karbi erev ein perushim v'chuvar." Not clear. Pasha the psukaya hainu ezar chagura. Psukaya is a belt. Is on Ein Shabbos daf kuf yigim and we can't write that's a place in the lav dafka sefer. It's not dafka sefer which you can bring back, but according to Yerushalmi, even a belt. In other words, it's pretty, it's Mishnah about a sefer because Ma'aser Shoya Kachoya. Seeing a scoop and reading, but it's true even about a belt. As long as it's a hairbreadth off the ground, according to Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Meir now, you can still remove it because as long as it's not nachem, it's just around. We don't buy it. We pass says Yerushalmi. You can even bring it back towards you if it's just a belt dangling down of any sort, not just if it's Sefer Torah. Okay, halacha daled. Zid sheivnei chalon. Here we have a picture also. You have a ziz, a platform, a protrusion in front of a window. This window has bars in it. This one doesn't have bars in it. I'm not sure if that makes a difference. Same principle. You have a platform. No steam allowed another man with Shabbos. You're allowed to put stuff on and take stuff on Shabbos, and not afraid that stuff's going to fall down into the Rishus Harabim and then you're going to pick it up and put it back up again. The Bavli says that's why we have two pictures. The Bavli says about breakable objects, where if they fall, they'll break. You're not going to actually put them back up again. So no choshesh. But the Yerushalmi doesn't have such a distinction. Okay, so the Yerushalmi does say, "Lo it's only one window opening up at that protrusion. Avoshtayim have two different windows which don't have an eruv of between the two of them. Usher, it's forbidden. You can't have two rishus using one rishus, using the same ziz, even though it's off the ground, but two rishus, two different windows can't use the same ziz. However, says Yerushalmi, we're going to go here with the Gilus to the Gilin Ephraim and Reb Chaim. B'sheyesh, we reversed the b'shein here with the yesh at the end, a few words down line. So the b'sheyesh over here and the b'shein over there. And probably the article doesn't change this, but let's check if he does. He does. He also changes it inside his text. Okay, so let's change it. So b'sheyesh ben rochav arba. When is it forbidden for the two chalonos to use the same ziz? When it's rochav arba, when it has 4x4 tvachim. So now that's it's not a mokum tour, right? So therefore, if it's if they don't have any between the two of them, it's a shus which is common to both of them, and therefore they can't use it. Avol emem rochav arba. But if it's not 4 tvachim wide, so it's a makom tour. It's hadad the Rabbi Yochanan. If you have protrusions and walls which are 10 tvachim high, and again, and they're not 4 tvachim wide, here the article does not change here, so I'm not sure why not. This is 4x4. It's not a mokum tour. I don't know. It doesn't change it. The Sozi changes it. Anyway, it's much easier to change it. So they're not for so they're both allowed to use the ziz, which in front of their two windows, as long as they don't use it to bring stuff from one window to the other window. So if it's 4x4 tvachim, it's a rishus, it's makom chashav, it's therefore it's like a chatzar shlo irvu. They can't use it, neither can use it. If it's less than 4, it's a makom tour, and therefore they both can use it as long as they don't use it to take from one window to another window. So again, I'm going to read the way Reb Chaim and the Ephraim read it. B'sheyesh bohen rochav arba. It's a problem. Avo ein bohen rochav arba. They don't have rochav arba. It's not a problem. And hodah, it's like the Rabbi Yachud Shem Yochanan. So shul of ein on rochavim arba. Muta kan vachlo yachlif. Okay, look, hey, Omi Adam Meshus Yachid Metal Meshus Rabim. Now, picture over here. Picture a person standing Meshus Yachid and carrying Meshus Rabim. He's standing in his window, and the key is on the ground. The window is Meshus Yachid. The key is on the ground, Meshus Rabim. So you're not taking from the Meshus Yachid. You're just carrying Meshus Rabim. Obviously, less than 4 amos. Omi Adam Meshus Yachid Metal Meshus Rabim, or vice versa. Meshus Rabim Metal Meshus Yachid. As long as you don't take it away from the 4 amos, where it was to begin with. Okay, look, Yamar Adam Shus Yachid, person that stands Shus Yachid, Yan Shus Rabim, and urinate into Shus Rabim. Shus Rabim, Yash Shus Yachid, or vice versa. Stand Shus Rabim, urinate Shus Yachid, lo yoruk, and also you shouldn't spit from one Rishus to another. So the main Moshe points out, if you did, imishim rak chayav chatos. La'avagat min akir milokum arba arba. Normally akir from places 4x4. Here, the significance of the act for him makes the place 4x4 for kamap Rishus Yachid Rishus Rabim, and same from Rishus Yachid into Rishus Rabim. Yerushalmi says af the mishinitla shroka mipiv, a person who has saliva separated in his mouth. In other words, he has saliva collected in his mouth, and you should not move. You shouldn't walk Dal Amos, because it's like a masui, he's carrying his mouth, ad shork, until he spits. He should spit prior to getting to moving 4 amos. Okay, the Reb Chaim brings down from the Bavli that that is specifically the where is this? Yeah, later on, Gemara is to say that's the Yerushalmi says to say about a thick what's the word? Phlegm. It's not that a regular saliva. Bavli, it's going on with saliva. The Yerushalmi says specifically phlegm. We're going to see it when we get to the Gemara. Okay, so says Gemara. In the Mishnah, we had it said right, and it was kind of cryptic. I glossed over when I read the Mishnah, but it says that the Mishnah said not going back, not being motzi chutz arba amos, could be going back on Rishus Rabim, going back on Rishus Yachid. And we say that even the Rishus Yachid, since you are, even though you're carrying Rishus Yachid, you're standing Rishus Rabim and carrying Rishus Yachid, you shouldn't move 4 amos to Rishus Yachid, right? So Gemara is going to say no, that's not the case. We're going to learn this way. Ephraim and Reb Chaim we're going to learn according to their understanding of the Gemara. Losof Dover Omed. So the Gemara says that. So English Mishnah Seinu. In other words, we're not. The Mishnah is ambiguous, so don't learn the Mishnah the way it says it, because then it sounds like the clause of Chutz going back on Metalta B'Shus Yachid. No, turn it around. Lo Davar Omed Birshus Harabim. Metalta B'Shus Yachid. See what we did. They're going to find Reb Chaim change around the Rabim Yachid in this line. So Lo Davar Omed Birshus Harabim. Metalta B'Shus Yachid, which sounds like there's an issue of 4 amos in the Rishus Yachid. Right, because you're standing Rishus Rabim and your hand is in Rishus Yachid. No, it's B'Rishus HaYachid U'Metalta B'Rishus HaRabim. Right, switch the clauses. It's Metalta again. We're switching the words also. Metalta B'Rishus HaYachid U'Metalta. Sorry, not Metalta. B'Rishus HaYachid. You're standing Rishus HaYachid. Omer Rishus HaYachid should say. You're standing Rishus HaYachid U'Metalta B'Rishus HaRabim. And that it says V'Shalot Yichutz Ha'Arbamas. Then it's saying that even though you're standing Rishus HaYachid, since the object you're carrying is Rishus HaRabim, then you shouldn't take it away 4 amos away. So let's read that again. We're going to find Reb Chaim switch around Yachid and Rabin, these 2 lines. Let's read again the way they have it. Lo Sof Davar Omer Rishus HaRabim L'Tav Rishus HaYachid. Rather, it's Omed B'Rishus HaYochid Matav Rishus HaRabim, and that Uvad Shlo Yotzim Chutz Arba Amos. So Omar Rav, Masis Omar Kain, there are two ways of interpreting that. In other words, it says, either he says, and both, I'm going to learn again, to find there's evidence to what the Yerushalmi just told us. So sometimes you have a clause which is not going on the immediately preceding statement. We're going 2 statements ago. And like in our Mishnah, Amos is not going on. But according to Reb Chaim, we're going to find the first approach going to switch the gears. It seems to have switched the gears. And Rav is saying you don't necessarily have to change the gears. So this is the way you find that sometimes the clause is going on the first statement, not on the second statement. Alternatively, Rav is saying, yeah, just like you changed the order in our Mishnah, in the following Mishnah also you should change the order as well. Again, he's either saying, no, you don't have to change the order, but just know that the clause can be going on first statement. Or he's saying, yeah, in the next Mishnah, you would also, according to what we just did, change the order of the cases. Because it says, in that Mishnah, it says, Lo yaman adam b'shus ha'yachid, but should not stand b'shus ha'yachid, v'yiftach, use a key to open b'shus ha'rabim, or b'shus ha'rabim, you shouldn't stand b'shus ha'rabim, v'yiftach, use a key to open b'shus ha'yachid, Eli Kain, unless the word hichnis here is taken out. I take it out, or is it taken out the word itself? It looks like actually, I can't tell with the parentheses. If an article takes that as well. I'm not sure who made the parentheses here. It looks. Anyway, the next mission doesn't have the word hichnis. So, unless Asla Mechitza Gwa Sarat Fachim, Divrei Meir, unless it has a Mechitza 10 Fachim. So, we're not talking about a case where you're saying Meshus Yochid, which is the last clause in the Mishnah, right? Meshus Yochid, Yiftach Meshus Rabim, Meshus Rabim, Yiftach Meshus Yochid, you make another Mechitza Meshus Yochid? What do you mean? It's in Meshus Yochid already. What is another Mechitza going to do? So rather, it's going on back on the first case. No, it's going to a case that Meshus Rabim, unless in that Meshus Rabim you made a Mechitza. So that is to use a key in Meshus Rabim. When you're saying Meshus Yochid, you should have Mechitza around the area of Meshus Rabim where you're using the key. So that's in our Mishnah, right? We had the guy picking up the key in the picture. So that's so there too. The clause of Elikain Asla Mechitza should be not Elikain V'Asla Mechitza. Elikain Asla Mechitza. Our article changed that way as well. Is going back on the first statement, not on the second statement. The case where you're the opening Rishus Rabim, not the case of opening Rishus Yochid. Okay, now the next line I mentioned already in the Mishnah, that Rav Amar bepicha, and there's another girsa here, bekicha. So the name I would tell you about where it's phlegm in the throat. That not tell you about just stam saliva, tell you about phlegm, and that's why it's considered to be a masui according to Rabbi Yehuda. And the Gemara says it's got to be the locain, and fascinating Yerushalmi, really fascinating. The locain, Rabbi Yehuda kedaite. If not, it's not talking about phlegm, which is distinct. So then, Rabbi Yehuda's opinion by normal saliva would be the Amar Mashka Tofech Kibur. He says let's see the Kormeir locain, right? No, let's read also one before. The roke ain't bo mamish. It's not about thin saliva. Thin saliva is insignificant. A pichayre, find a roke of a shetza b'koyach. Says the thick saliva, I think it's phlegm. The locain dim locain. Rabbi Yehuda kedait the Rabbi Yehuda shitas. Rabbi Yehuda, he says it's kind of like between Rabbi Yehuda be following his line of opinion. It's not following his line of opinion. There are mashka tibur. He says moisture is considered to be connected. Meaning, so there's always moisture in his throat, right? So so therefore, even some saliva which has become collected in his mouth, should be it's still connected to the rest of the saliva in his mouth. It's still mechuber because it's still considered anything which is tofeach, anything which is moist is connected to the moisture to which it's adhering. So therefore, there's nothing which is nekar, right? So why should it go v'alamas? So you can tell you about phlegm. That's really cool. It's the Chaim brings down where that Yehuda has that shita. He says that in Perek Zayin Mikvos, it says you have a mikvah which is precisely 40 some mechuvanos, and two people went down to over one after another. The first one was Torah, the second was Tomei. That's Tanakama. Rabbi Yehuda says even the second, as long as the first guy's legs are touching the water, the second guy is also Torah because the water on the first guy's legs are mechuber with the mikveh water, because mashka tofeh chibur, because all moisture is considered to be connected to each other. Okay, so says Gemara. Now, lots of our next by Mishnah about urinating and spitting. It's not just standing with Shus Yachid and urinating with Shus Rabim, which is a problem. Which as plain much in which case, according to the Bible at least, which he cites, he'd be chayv chatos. I feel Shus Rabim. If you're standing with Shus Rabim, mashi with Shus Rabim. He's standing with Shus Rabim and urinating with Shus Rabim. If he's gone for urine, but he's standing like on a slope, and the urine's going to go roll down. The urine is just a rabbi and Shus Yachid and go into Shus Yachid also. Because even the kocho is also as well. It's not going to be Issa D'Oraisa, but you're not allowed, Chazal said, you're not allowed to do kocho either. No question of kocho, but Carmelis, where the Carmelis is mutar also, but kocho in going from a Shus Yachid to Shus Rabim is, or vice versa, is definitely a prohibition. Chaim brings the power between this and the previous cases we had where we spoke about, a person should not be shocheh for the water and just say and let it go into sharab unless he made a beef kumor, all those types of things we talked about previously. Actually, it's not just Reb Chaim. I don't know what to talk about. It's the word itself. No, it's coming up. Never mind. So similarly. Rabbi Yosebun lo sotar made which is a rabbi mashi b'shus hayachid not just saying shus rabbi and being mashi b'shus yachid. I feel omer shus yachid mashi b'shus hayachid. You say shus yachid and your name shus yachid mizgagelim v'yordim l'shus harabim. Right, then it goes down shus rabbi. Also, the flip case above. Rabbi Yosef Adam this teaches us silona maybe shus harabim. If you have a pipe, which is shus harabim, gavoa asar v'achav arba, which is 10 tefachim high and 4 tefachim wide. Something like I want to know what it is. You can't spill in it water that is going to go because it's going to go out from the and go into the shus hayachid. Well, actually, not going to go out. It's going to go out. It's going to go into that pipe. But I say for Reb Chaim, I apologize. I messed up a bit. It's not Reb Chaim. It's the Gemara, but the Gemara is saying a fascinating thing, and this is the idea that we had before all sorts of cases we can put stuff into your Shus Yachid, even though eventually it's going to go into Shus Rabim, as long as it's covered, etc. So that's okay, because they're making to do it from a Shus Yachid because it's like covered abrios, so you can get your sewage water out on Shabbos as long as it's covered. But here they want to make it in the other direction. They said in your Shus Rabim, and it's going to be mizgalga what you're doing into Shus Yachid. No good, right? This is the opposite of all the cases I had previously. There's seal made Shus Rabim gavoa sarocha barba ain't shalom l'sofcho mayim shem mizgalga. You can't spill water, not l'sofcho literally. Right, that's pushing. But you can't even pour water outside of it, and it's going to be galgal, go roll down into this Rishus Hayachid, because it's only meant to go out, not to go in. That's what I would have learned the Gemara. Reb Chaim learns it differently. Reb Chaim says that that you have this when it says Silon Rishus Rabim, really I'm not sure where Reb Chaim is actually very. Yeah, sounds as like that. You're standing in Rishus Yachid, and you're spilling into the Silon, which is Rishus Yachid, and later on it's going to go on to Rishus Rabim. That's also. So according to him, it's not going to say you're spilling into Rishus Rabim, then it's going to Rishus Yachid. Spilling into Rishus Yachid, from Rishus Yachid into Rishus Yachid. And evidently, because this Silon is not like a hole in the ground, but because it's actually part of Rishus Yachid, it's a full Rishus Yachid because it's 10 tefachim high. So therefore, even you say Rishus Yachid, don't spill into the second Rishus Yachid if it's going to go out afterwards into Rishus Harabim. Okay, I think it's more glad this is the way I said it. That you have a Rishus Harabim and you have a Silon, which is going to go to the and it's going to go into Silon Rishus Yachid. It's going to roll down. You have to make sure not to do that because only matir as a certain sense because Rabbi is going out but not going in. But anyway, it's not clear, right? Again, you read the line itself. It just says Silon Home Rishus Harabim. And it could be that the opponent was just to get into it. And so my nation is going to be arguing. Okay, he has it, May. That's the end for today. So therefore, we'll stop here.